New York is the first U.S. city to use congestion pricing as an effort to relieve gridlock, clear the air, and to get some new funding for transit upgrades. But the reaction from New Yorkers is mixed.
I don't think it's going to accomplish the result. I don't think the money's going to be spent the right way. I don't think it's going to go to the MTA, and I don't think the MTA is going to use it wisely. So I think this accomplishes virtually nothing.
So a lot of mistrust there. Since January 5th, vehicles entering Lower Manhattan have to pay anywhere from $4.50 to $21. Is this something Canadian cities should be looking into, and how could it work? Jeff Casello is a professor of transportation engineering and planning at the University of Waterloo. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Okay, so we heard what the New Yorkers feel, or at least some New Yorkers feel like about this plan, but how are things going so far for New York?
Yeah, I think it's still a little bit early to tell. You know, whenever you introduce something like this into the system, it takes a little bit of time for people to change their behavior, to understand what the system's going to be doing. But I think, you know, the very, very early data are that we're starting to see some reduction in congestion in the city center, in the part of Manhattan where the congestion pricing is, which means, of course, people are moving a little bit more freely, the air quality is a little bit better, and people are a little bit less frustrated.
Yeah, you know, we're showing this video from social media, someone saying it's rush hour and you're seeing the effects of congestion pricing in real time from your apartment, highlighting the fact that traffic is actually moving. There's no gridlock. What kinds of cities does congestion pricing work best in?
So if you have a really strong downtown area, that's the best way to do that. What you'll see in Singapore and in London and in Stockholm, where they have this congestion pricing, a really strong downtown where there's a central movement where most people are coming to a pretty well-defined area of the city. That's where congestion pricing works best.
Okay, well, we have a few of those cities, and I live in one of them. So why haven't we seen this form of congestion pricing come to Canada yet?
Yeah, so there's a real aversion. I think there's a political unwillingness, first of all. And as I think, as you heard from the New Yorker, there's probably some pretty strong public opinion that suggests that people already perceive that they pay too much to drive, and this won't do much. And I think the evidence from around the world shows that that's not quite true. In London and the UK, we've seen great results with better air quality, no loss in economic activity. The transit system is better. So I really think that this is a place where our politicians and our public have to take a chance and be a little bit courageous, be bold, and to explore these options for the city like Toronto.
You know, I say I live in Toronto, but actually I should correct myself because I work in Toronto and I'm one of hundreds of thousands of people that come into the city to do my job. And I'm one of those people who would be affected by this. According to transport analytics firm Inex, Toronto is ranked the 25th in the world for the highest traffic delays in 2024, meaning 61 hours are lost to commuting. You compare that with New York, they're in second place. They have 102 hours lost. So what efforts have they made to get congestion pricing going in a city like Toronto?
Yeah, so I think, again, it really comes down to political willingness. A few years ago, you'll remember that the city wanted to toll the Gardner Expressway and the Don Valley Parkway. The province wouldn't allow them to do that. But, Marion, I think the issue that we have is that we have a limited amount of roadway capacity. We have a limited amount of transportation capacity. And right now, it's just overconsumed. And we have to do something. We have to be novel to try and create a system where we're going to generate some money. We're going to allow some alternatives for people who don't want to drive, but at the same time, if you're going to consume that really precious road space, you're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah, and they're going to have to do something fast because it's getting worse, I feel like, by the week. You've said that provincial transport agency Metrolink plays a big role in whether or not congestion pricing is introduced. Why?
Yeah, because if you look at places like Transport for London or the agency that controls the city center in Singapore, they have the ability to raise money through this congestion pricing, and then they can make decisions about what are the most important investments that are really outside of the political arena. You're having transportation engineers and planners making the decisions, not politicians. And with all respect to our politicians, that's the way that this should be. And so if Metrolinx had the opportunity to advocate for congestion pricing, and once it were implemented, have this revenue source that they could then build out in real time, really impactful projects, that would be transformative for the city of Toronto and for the GTA.
Well, they need to find a solution, and they need to find it fast because traffic is not moving fast. Jeff Casello, professor of transportation at the University of Waterloo. Great to talk to you this morning. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.